Hey guys, Ponce here on the PBE, here to talk to you about all the mages which have been changed as part of the mid-year mage update. So there are actually 6 mages that were updated: Malzahar, Zyra, Vlad, who I'll be talking about in this video, the slightly weirdish kind of mages. And in the next video I do, which I'll link to in the description, annotation, etc., we'll be talking about Vel'Koz, Cass, and Brands, just sort of more straight up, kind of blow you up sort of thing, although you might want to... Your categories may vary depending on definitions. But anyway, first off, let's talk about Malzahar here and what exactly has happened to his kit. I'm just going to read through all his abilities, and then I will use them for you, and then we'll move on to the next champion, Zyra, then Vlad. So first, starting off, Void Shift. When he hasn't taken damage or been crowd controlled in the last, well, currently 12 seconds, but it scales based off of your level, I believe. Malzahar gains 90% damage reduction and crowd control immunity, lingering for 1 second after taking damage or blocking crowd control effects. Damage from lane minions is not mitigated by this effect, but it does not trigger or reset its cooldown either. So basically, Malzahar kind of walks around with essentially a better version of Banshee's Veil, almost. It's pretty crazy. It means he can kind of almost walk up to you for free and just nether grasp you. I should also mention at this point, I wouldn't worry about the numbers too much. Like, if things are horrendously overpowered, for example, Malzahar right now, just at first glance, seems really good. Early PBE stuff. That's why I'm not too concerned about the numbers. This will be changed. So, next, Call of the Void. This really hasn't changed too much. This is just, that. It's still the nuke silence thing. Incidentally, this kind of swirling, purple edging electricity thing you see going on around him, that's the Void Shield, or Void Shift, is what it was. Right, next, moving on. This is something that's changed quite a bit. Void Swarm. It's kind of his old passive-ish. Summons a Voidling lasting 12 seconds to fight nearby enemies. The first time a Voidling attacks a champion, large monster or epic monster, or assists in killing a unit, Malzahar spawns a new Voidling with the same remaining duration, or when 3 or more Voidlings are active, they all gain 100% attack speed. This actually seems quite good. So basically, Voidlings will sort of spawn themselves when you kill a little minion or something, or if they're all chaining off and attacking like a large mob or a champion or something. Let's say if I was fighting Misfortune down here, which I'll show you in a second, or I was fighting the dragon over here, or something like that. Voidlings would basically, Voidling would hit once, it would spawn a new Voidling, and the new Voidling would then hit again and spawn a new Voidling, like that. And then there's just some numbers down here, and it tells you it caps out at 4 and how they're attracted to things with Nether Grasp or Malefic Visions attached to them. So I mean, how they function isn't too different, but I guess I can show that right here. So if I were to do this and do that, so as you can see, since it's I'm attacking the larger chicken bird there, the Voidlings are spawning each other like that. So they just kind of keep chaining off, and they do quite a bit of damage. They actually seem to have a very high AD ratio, so I wonder what the viability of AD Malzahar is now, but I don't know. I'll worry about that another day. Malefic Visions, this one hasn't really changed too much either. The numbers may have slightly, I'm not sure, but that's still, space aids, as people refer to it as. Just kind of, you put the dot on someone and it chains off. If it dies, it goes to the next one. Very basic stuff. Now his ult is kind of interesting. It's a bit less of a sort of fire and forget, destroy everyone nuke, I suppose. They've actually mixed it with his old puddle spell. I forget what it was called. The one where you create the pool and does percentage damage. It still suppresses people. But let me just go show you guys right here on Misfortune. So it's just going to go... Actually, I'm going to show you in conjunction with Voidlings. Let me get rid of these guys here. So I'm going to cast the Voidling dude, and like that. And see, the Voidlings just kind of keep chaining off and getting, spawning more and more of them. Caps out at 4 there. And yeah. Nether Grasp doesn't really deal damage itself, but spawns that void puddle thing underneath people. So, some interesting changes. Like as I said, it seems really good, but I haven't played it in a real game yet, so we'll see what happens here. So, I'm just going to use it a couple times on some monsters and stuff like that. See, the Voidlings just keep getting stronger and stronger. They don't last very long, and the cooldown's pretty long, but... how long did it say they last again? They last 12 seconds, 18-second cooldown. I imagine, yeah, with a little bit of cooldown reduction, you just kind of keep pumping out Voidlings all the time. I'll probably experiment with that in a separate video for those of you interested. But yeah, that's it for Malzahar. Moving on to Zyra. Alright, up next we have Zyra. So let's quickly go over abilities like we did with Malzahar. I don't think she's changed quite as much, but got some interesting things going. The new passive, Garden of Thorns. Seeds spawn around Zyra periodically, becoming faster with level and lasting 45 seconds, maximum 8 seeds planted. If an enemy champion steps on a seed, it dies. Cast deadly spines or grasping roots near seeds to grow plants. Extra plant striking, same target, deal 50% less damage. So, yeah, she just kind of passively throws around seeds, a little bit like sort of like Alawi tentacles, I guess. Which, I mean, they're faster than Alawi tentacles. They're probably not quite as annoying since, you know, you just have to step on them, but that's how that one works now. Deadly Spine's the new Q, so that kind of replaces that old circular explosion thing, although the function is more or less the same. Vines spread through the ground, exploding spines, deal damage, magic damage, blah, blah, blah. So instead of the circle, it's now like this. It's almost like that Void Gate thing from Malzahar. Like it's sort of a line nuke. Or a line skill shot nuke thing. So you see these plants are just constantly going off here. So Rampant Growth. This is the old seed plant thing. That it basically put points into it. And the plant health, when you turn them into something, now they get more health for it. Next we have Grasping Roots. So this is the old root thing. This really hasn't changed very much. You target something. Looks like the radius on it's pretty big, but yeah. They turn into the short range kind of slashing plants. Grasping Roots passes near a seed. Vine Lasher grows, dealing magic damage and slowing enemies 30 seconds. The Vine Lasher has 400 range and lasts one.
So much more.
And so here's the other one here. That. So that's what that one looks like right there. That's just the long-range shooting thing. Lastly, we have Stranglethorns. Her ult summons the Fury of Nature, growing a twisted thicket at target location, which deals magic damage to all enemies in the area as it expands. After 2 seconds, the vines snap upward, knocking enemies in the air for 1 second. Garden of Thorns. Plants within the thicket are enraged, attacking in a flurry for 150% total damage. So I'll show you guys what that looks like there. It's actually kind of convenient. They're all in the dragon pit. So I can just make these all into little plant dudes. Let's get that one going there. They're all just kind of freaking out like that. It's actually a lot of plants. So normally you wouldn't have this many plants helping you in the dragon pit. Like they all just happen to kind of cluster there, I suppose. Is that one out of range? Yeah, it is.
None will escape my grasp.
I'm actually out of mana. Am I able to do this? Just like, I think the answer is going to be barely yes, but I gotta drag him out. Oh, one missed. Yeah, I got it. Alright, so that was the, what was that, the Earth Dragon? Yeah, it was the Earth Dragon again. Actually, they call it Drake, I see. So let's just buy some items, and I go use all those abilities sort of in conjunction against Misfortune, minus the ult, I suppose, but... Okay. The ult sort of knock-up is the same, like, that's not any different. I'm actually going to wait until a few plants spawn, just so we can get a whole bunch of plants going at once here. So we got 3. If I can get Misfortune to walk over here, it'd be like that, and I got 3 plants going. And they're short range, so she's just going to run away.
Just a harmless flower.
There we go. Alright, so yeah, that's the new Zyra. Moving on to, who did I say was next? I have a notepad down here. Oh, right, Vlad, of course. Alright, last up on this particular mid-year Mage update PBE video, we have Vladimir. Keep in mind there's the other video, including Vel'Koz, Cassiopeia, and Brand coming up next. But yeah, first off, let's just read off his abilities. Crimson Pact, this is his old passive. It's more or less does the same stuff. There might be some number changes. In fact, I'm pretty sure there are. But don't worry about number changes specifically too much. This is early PvE stuff. It's numbers that tend to get shuffled around a lot. Next, more importantly, in terms of functional change, we have transfusion. That's his Q. The basic idea behind it is the same. You know, you put out your nuke and, you know, you get some of your health back. But now it comes with this new thing here. Vladimir gains Crimson, or rather, after casting Transfusion twice, Vladimir gains Crimson Rush the next time it becomes available to cast. Crimson Rush. Vladimir is briefly hasted, and for the next 2.5 seconds, Transfusion deals 100% increased damage and heals for an additional flat amount based on level, plus a certain percentage of his missing health, also scaling with AP. Healing is half versus minions, so basically you can't just use this to, you know, spam heal and, you know, infinite sustain versus minions. Well, I guess you infinite sustain, but sustain even better versus minions. Sanguine Pool, more or less the same thing going on here. Just wonderful. Yeah, Troll Pool, intact, still there. Lastly, in terms of the regular abilities, we have Tides of Blood. This has been changed considerably. So channeling cost, 10% of maximum health. Vladimir charges up a reservoir of blood, paying up to 10% of his max health, 135, which is 10% of what I currently have, over 1 second to increase Tides of Blood's damage by the same amount. On release after 1.5 seconds, Vladimir unleashes a Nova of Blood, dealing between basically a certain amount based on his health, which also scales with AP, magic damage to his enemies. At full charge, Tides of Blood slows Vladimir while he holds it, but will briefly slow targets by 50% when he releases it. It appears the slow amount actually scales by level. Lastly, we have Hemoplague, no cost, free spell. Vladimir inflicts enemy units in the target area with a virulent plague, causing 10% increased damage for 4 seconds. After 4 seconds, Vladimir deals, you know, flat magic damage, scaling with AP magic damage to infect targeted or damage to infected targets, and heals 50% of that amount for each champion hit. So a similar thing going on there. But let me show you guys first. This is a bit more subtle and it's a bit confusing. I didn't get it for a minute, but this is how Transfusion and Crimson Rush works. So basically you cast it once, and see this bar stacking up at the bottom here? It's basically, it's the rate at which the bar is stacking up is actually in relation to the cooldown of the transfusion. So I'm going to cast it twice here, and basically when the cooldown comes back, Crimson Rush is automatically going to trigger. I don't get the choice, and there's a little indication, and I have to cast it immediately like that. Also note that the transfusion, which you use Crimson Rush on, counts towards the next stack of Crimson Rush. So, as you can see, I'm going to have it again in a second. Misfortune, what are you doing? So I'm going to have it again like that. Anyway, here's Tides of Blood. This is me charging it up. Like so. As you can see, it is sort of pseudo skill shot, so minions and stuff getting in the way will block it. So that's going to slow her like that. Let's Hemoplague. There you have it. Alright, so Vladimir, very kind of similar thing going on. Similar thing, sort of thing sort of going on, but, you know, enough has changed that I would call it, yeah, mid, you know, it makes sense that he is part of the whole mid-year Mage update. You also have to keep in mind that a lot of these changes are factoring in the fact that, what is that thing called? Spellvamp is now gone. Spellvamp is no longer in the game, so it's been removed as an item. All the Hextech items deal, or rather do different things. That's the instantaneous explosion like that. And yeah, so that's it for Vladimir, and this video for Malzahar, Zyra, and Vlad. Again, if you're interested in Vel'Koz, Cassiopeia, and Brand, links to that will be in the description below and probably somewhere in the annotations. So yeah, this is the slightly weird Mage video. Next up we have slightly more straightforward bursty, although Cassiopeia's got some interesting stuff going on there as well. Thanks for watching, guys.